All right, writing your argumentative essay. We started from this prompt. We broke this down. This actual prompt you're looking at is for the outsiders. We turned this into looking at what the CASP is asking of us, what the CASP prompt is asking of us, which turned out to be the director's choices as the topic. So your paper says novel and like the book or whatever better. That is my fault. I'm so sorry. That's from a former essay. So we are changing that up. So according to this CASP prompt, it's asking you about the director's choices and how it impacted the story. So you went and you looked for ways that the director's choices impacted the strength or strengthened or weakened the novel's story. And then the task asked you, how did those changes impact the audience, right? The audience's understanding or emotional change. Did it change the themes or the tones of what the author was trying to convey? Did it change characters, or did it change the setting? So these were the general ideas we're looking at, and these are the specific director's choices. So now that this is filled in, you are going to write your actual essay. So the first thing you're going to write is your thesis. It's always your thesis first. Then your objective summary, which you know how to write, and then your hook. That's the order in which you write it. Now, the order in which it goes in your introduction is hook first, objective summary second, thesis third. Your thesis should be one sentence. It should be the last sentence in your introductory paragraph, and it should be general, not specific. Your key points then become your body paragraphs. So how this looks is, hold on, let me change this. Okay. You are going to have let's see, your thesis statement is your topic, and the topic is the director's choices, plus your claim, which is strengthened or weakened, plus your 3 key points. That's what we're looking for. These key points then become your body paragraph 1, 2, and 3. This thesis statement again is part of the introductory paragraph. And the introductory paragraph is your hook, objective summary, and your thesis statement. Okay, so let's take a look at this. When we're writing our thesis, the topic will be the director's choices. Your claim will be whether it strengthened or weakened the story, and then you will have your general ideas of why it strengthened. Right here, key point 1 and 2, why it strengthened or weakened the story, and then your third key point will be the counterclaim, which is how the director's changes weaken the story. So this is an example of that. When you go into this, you do not want to add all these specifics into your thesis statement. Now, when we first started, you may remember us working on this, and we went into this 3 specific scenes. This is where you start. This is not where you end. So this is where I wanted you to start. This is not where I wanted you to end. So these 3 specific scenes are going to be mentioned in your quote sandwiches. So these are representative of your quote sandwiches, not your general thesis. So we're going to take this and then bring that to a broader view. So we first started with this, now it's going to be broader. You're going to look at those specific moments that you chose. Was it an audience understanding or emotional change, a theme or tone change, or a character setting change? What I mean by that is, for instance, they bettered the director's choices, your key point 1, bettered the audience's understanding of the plot. Because that would be what would be here. Key point 2, and increase the audience's emotional response. That would be what you have here. However, your counterclaim, the tone of the novel was weakened in specific scenes, which would be something you would have here. So these specific key points are coming from your boxes on the outside. Your specific scenes you will use in your quote sandwich. Now maybe you're like, I don't remember how to write a quote sandwich. All right. Before we go to quote sandwiches, let's just review really quick. So we talked about the Common Core State Standard, what an argumentative essay is. We broke down the CASP prompt, also known as the TURD, into different categories. We planned it out, and I gave you a bigger idea of what, or I gave you a specific idea of what you were going to be looking at. Now we're pulling our thesis to a broader place that we just talked about. Now, your introductory paragraph. In the end, your essay will look like this, plus a concluding paragraph. This is your introductory. It's body paragraph 1, body paragraph 2, body paragraph 3. This all comes down to writing. Writing can be reduced to math. It's beautiful in that way. So your introductory paragraph has 3 things: a hook, an objective summary, and a thesis. More specifically, your introductory paragraph can look like this. An introductory paragraph is your hook, your objective summary, and your thesis statement. Those are the 3 things in your introductory paragraph. This can be simplified to introductory. Into this introductory paragraph is hook plus objective summary plus thesis. And the thesis statement is topic plus key point, claim plus key point 1, 2, and 3, right? This can be reduced to this. So it gets simpler and simpler, but it's all the same thing. So your introductory paragraph will have a hook, your objective summary or background info, and your thesis statement that has 3 reasons that supports your claim. On Teams, I dropped all these slides, which have videos in them to help you with different things. So if you need help writing a thesis statement, there is a video that helps you, but your thesis statement is your topic, your claim, your 3 key points, which we went over. You must have a thesis or your essay will be dead. Then you will write your objective summary, which you have this template in your notebook. And then you will write your hook. Now remember, your hook goes first in your introductory paragraph, then your objective summary, then your thesis statement. Your hook. All right, hooks, if you need help with that, there is a link on the slides in Teams, but you can essentially use any of these. You can use a riddle or humor. You can use strong or a shocking statement, interesting or a shocking fact, a question. You can use any of these. You can use a quote from someone outside of the book or inside of the book. An outrageous statement, catchy dialogue, maybe from the novel. Surprising statistic that goes with what you're trying to prove, a descriptive setting, flashback, or just jumping right into the story or right into the middle of some action. Now, things to remember. If you do use a question, it cannot be yes, no, and do not use you. You don't want to switch to second person point of view. Stay in third person point of view. And it should be intriguing. For example, this is an example of a question you, as an example of being a not yes or no, does not use you, and is intriguing. How might school uniforms bring peace to education? You cannot answer this with yes, no. It does not use you. And it is interesting or intriguing. So choose whatever you want. That's going to be the first line of your introductory paragraph. It will also be the last line of your concluding paragraph when you go back to address it. All right, body paragraphs. Body paragraphs come from your 3 key points. So body paragraph 1 is your key point 1 in your thesis, and so forth. How to write a body paragraph. If you need help with that, there is a link here in the slides for a video. But basically, your body paragraph is an introductory sentence, your key point from your thesis statement, your quote sandwich, and your concluding sentence. Now, when I say quote sandwich, it means the exact same thing as race. So races and quote sandwich is the same thing. Don't get confused. So when you go to write the actual body paragraph, you are going to go to your essay graphic organizer. So paragraph 2, body paragraph 2, a body paragraph 1, which is paragraph 2 for your essay. You are going to say paragraph 2, what is it about? Well, remember, we don't say is about. Then you're going to say, so for instance, what is your key point 1? Better the audience's understanding of the plot. So when we're going to just put the key point 1, better audience understanding of the plot. Okay, so that's just our topic. That's not part of our body paragraph 1. We just want to make sure that everything in paragraph 2 is about the bettering of the audience's understanding of the plot, or the setting, or the characters, or whatever you're writing about. So your extra top bun is the topic only. So you're going to say, what is the topic? The director made several choices in his depiction. I say his because the directors that we're dealing with are all males. The director made several choices in his depiction of the novel, whichever novel you've read. So that's going to be your extra top bun. Then your top bun is going to be the claim in your key point 1. These choices strengthened or weakened the novel's story by, and then you're going to go right here, increasing, or let's see, you said better the audience's understanding of the plot, by improving the audience's comprehension of what happened in John Boyne's story, or Jack London's story. So you see how I just did topic, director's choices, and then I just did claim and key point 1. Claim and key point 1. That's your top one. Then you're going to say, you're going to lean in. So you need like lettuce. So Right here is your quote sandwich, right? So the lead-in and examples of that, sometimes this gets difficult, is when you go in for lettuce. That's your lead-in for the meat. You're going to say, like, according to the text, the author stated, based on the text mentioned that in the second paragraph on page blank, the text states, an example from the text is. There's also examples from races, if you prefer that. According to the text, the article states blah, 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 blah. So you can use whatever you want. So after you choose your lettuce, you're going to say, for example, the text states, and then you're going to use your quote. So when you look at the film strengthens the novel, you're going to say, let's say you're saying the film strengthens the novel. You're going to come here and say, how does the audience's comprehension increase? You're going to go look at, okay, what did we say? For a boy in the striped pajamas. Increase the audience understanding of what happened. If we're talking about Pavel being beaten, you're going to come here and say, it may not be a quote. It could just be like a restatement of what happens in the film. So for example, the text states, or in the film, the director, you're going to explain what happens. The director chooses to, remember, you always stay in present tense. Don't go to past tense. The director, for example, in the film, the director chooses, so I see my error right there. What happened in John Boyne's story.
Christian Hodges, please come to the office. Christian Hodges, please come to the office.
Sorry about that. Okay. For example, in the film, the director chooses to expand on the scene where Pavel is beaten by Lieutenant Kotler. He adds a scene where Maria is cleaning up the leftover blood that stained the floor Okay, so that's just what happened. This is the choice. Now the bottom bun, you explain the choice. So you explain first what is happening in the quote. So in the, it's not a quote, it's the movie description. In the film, or did we say film already? So let's say movie. In the movie, Mark Herman includes a scene where Maria is on her knees cleaning Pavel's blood. How does the quote prove the key point? Okay, so now we gotta go. Now we gotta connect the quote or the description to the key point. The key point is that we're making is audience comprehension. The addition of this scene increases or adds to the audience's understanding of what happens to Pavel, because the audience witnesses the blood stains and Maria's reaction to cleaning the stain. Okay, so that is what the impact is on the audience's understanding, or that's how it does increase. Why? And then the scene involves or adds depth to the audience's involvement in what happens to Pavel. And helps and expands the audience's imagination of how badly Pavel was beaten, because the novel does not allow the audience into the actual beating. It only affords the audience a small glimpse into parts of what Kotler yells at Pavel during the beating. All right, explain why the director chose to add or delete. The director's choice strengthens the depth and understanding the depth of understanding. Director's choice adds, no, I already said that. Deliberately deepens the audience's I can't think of another word for understanding right now of Pavel's predicament. This additional scene proves that the director made choices that added to the audience's experience of John Boyne's story. So I explain why the quote proves the claim. This makes the scene the film version of the scene much more powerful than the novel's story. And that's how you would write a body paragraph. Okay, so each of those paragraphs you would do, that's your main, your key point 1, then your key point 2 you would do something similar, and then for key point 3 you would do the however. So you would do a similar statement, but you would come from the perspective of the author. However, the author did a better job of this scene, in this scene, or showing character or theme or tone, or the director's choices weakened the theme or tone or audience understanding in this scene because, and you will quote from the book. Wherever you say that the novel is stronger or the director's choices weaken, you will quote from the book. So make sure you do that. And then lastly, the concluding paragraph, you would just take this thesis, break it up so that this is one sentence, key point 1 becomes one sentence, key point 2 becomes one sentence, and key point 3 becomes one sentence. Now remember, once you use a word in the essay, you cannot keep repeating it, but you can always go back and revise it for that. So you restate the topic. The topic is the director's choices had an impact on the story. You would paraphrase your key point 1, paraphrase your key point 2, paraphrase your key point 3, and then talk about how the thesis is proven and revisit your hook. And that is how you would end that.